Hello and welcome to episode 40, would you believe, of the football podcast Hitting the Bar. I'm Chris Karle.
And I'm Geoff Saunders.
And Geoff, we've got a lot to talk about. Obviously, COVID-19 has dominated the news over the last few weeks.
Indeed it has, yeah.
And every time I hear COVID-19, I expect to then hear Tottenham 0. But nevertheless, we are coming back to football. But before we talk about it, your trivia question.
Okay, on 21st of April 1986, Alvin Martin did something which cannot guarantee that it's unique and the only time it's ever happened, but I'd be absolutely amazed if it isn't. And if anyone says, oh, he scored a hat-trick against Newcastle, yes he did, but that isn't the answer. So what did he do while scoring that hat-trick that makes it unique?
All right, so he did something unique while scoring a hat-trick.
Well, scoring the hat-trick was key to it, yeah.
All right, intriguing. We'll have the answer at the end of the podcast. Before we go on, I do want to, Geoff, give a quick shout out to a young man I know called Jacob. Very hard working, very energetic and motivated, and very, very bright young man and a lovely fella. Jacob, during these difficult times, has set up a new business. It's called Beachy Feet, and basically what they do is they make blinged up and designer flip-flops for adults and children, and some very sparkly nail polish and cosmetic range. Beachy Feet kind of reflects the culture and beach life of the Mediterranean. I'm giving him a plug, not for money, just because he's a really hard-working young man and he deserves a little bit of success during these difficult times. You can find all the information at beachyfeet.es. Beachy, B-E-A-C-H-Y, and then feet, F-E-E-T.es for Hispania. Good luck, Jacob.
Well, good luck to him.
Yeah.
You know. Fair play to someone who's going to set up a business and do that now. It's brilliant. Well done.
Yeah, he's a very, very hard-working young man and with a lot of enthusiasm, so I've got a lot of time for him. Good luck with that. Right, on to the football.
The only football there's been was over in Germany, where Jadon Sancho continues to excel. By a long distance, the best English player around at the moment. By a distance, a hat-trick in the second half the other day. Absolutely brilliant. But that wasn't the most brilliant thing about it.
No, it wasn't. And I'll leave, since you've started the topic, I'll leave you to explain what he did or said.
I can't quote him because I can't remember the exact words, but he did point out that as good as scoring a hat-trick in a top league match is, it doesn't compare in any way to what's happening to black people in America, and particularly the George Floyd situation.
Yes, he did say that everything pales into insignificance, and dedicated, if you like, the hat-trick to Black Lives Matter, and well done to him, young man, taking life seriously.
Yeah, and a very young man too, so really great to see someone that aware at that age. Yeah.
Yes, it is, and so, we've got a lot of respect for him, not just footballing-wise, but footballing-wise, you know what, this always makes me laugh, but when something like that happens, you're getting 40-odd goals, like Lewandowski, and then in Sancho, Jadon Sancho, and people say, you couldn't write this. Listen, if you can write about Star Wars and Tin Men and Ewoks and all that, I think you could probably write about a young man scoring a hat-trick in a football game.
Well, you could, yeah.
But still, he is absolutely sensational, so, and good words from him.
Yeah, he's still not quite as good as Roy of the Rovers.
No, you
could. He's getting there.
Yeah, you could write that. Somebody did. Yes. So German football has started. Football in England is due to start in 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks this week.
I think sooner than that.
Well, sooner than that, in fact.
2 weeks.
Yeah. Yesterday, a Tottenham player was tested positive for COVID. Very few players over the league have, but that is going to cause some problems, of course, with playing. And now they're saying that there will be some neutral grounds as well because of the policing situation.
Yeah, that's something that has yet to be sorted out, and they're discussing that this week along with a lot of other things between the heads of the Premier League teams. The Premier League teams are very against neutral grounds, and when you think about it logically and dispassionately, there is no argument for having neutral grounds. It isn't going to be a decision that will actually be made by the Premier League grounds. It will be made by the local authorities where the Premier League grounds are. They will decide, not the football clubs. The Premier League can say, yes, we want this to happen, but the local authorities and the police will decide what happens. It's not a football issue.
Yeah, I mean, it does. Again, we spoke on the podcast last week about football players being singled out as people who should contribute their wages or a portion of their wages to help the NHS and whatever. It does seem that football, again, is being singled singled out because nobody seems to be stopping people going to the beaches or anything like that, but yet they're worried about people gathering outside football grounds.
Yeah, but there is something which underlies all this, a completely false premise. And if you read the words that the police authorities use and local authorities use, it is all on the premise that football fans are hooligans.
Yeah, well, that's kind of, I suppose, what
that's what's behind it all.
Yeah.
They start talking about safety and crowds gathering and they're hinting at violence. And we haven't seen that for a long time. Let's give football fans some credit, shall we?
Actually, that's a very good point because how strange that there seems to be this sort of class divide in England. Who would have thought? But nevertheless, it was taken under advice and they didn't do it. The Cheltenham Festival attracted 500,000 people just before this all took off. That was no problem. The government this week were boasting about how horse racing is back and everybody can go to horse racing. But football, because it is working class in essence, is again being singled out.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question. There is no logic for treating football differently.
Yeah, it's almost like you can't be trusted.
Yes.
But the ladies in big hats can go to Cheltenham and do what they like.
No, ladies in big hats go to Ascot.
Oh, I do apologise. Yeah, that's the difference.
Irishmen go to Cheltenham.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Now I'm being educated in horse racing. But the point being, of course, that, there does seem to be some sort of...
The thing which annoys me is it's the premise that football fans are hooligans. And therefore, they have, the general public have to be controlled to protect them from these hooligans. And 30 years ago, okay. Yeah. Well, not now.
In many ways, it does feel like 30 years ago in England,
exactly.
in the United Kingdom. So
we are in 1984 after all, aren't we?
Yeah, But hopefully that won't be a problem. You were just telling me before we started recording about a rather unusual way for fans to virtually be in the stadium.
Well, yeah, virtually and in reality. Aarhus, the Danish club, they were playing Randers last week, and they had one that you could see, one side of the pitch covered in screens where their fans were watching it on Zoom, and they had the sound as well. So if you were at home, an Aarhus fan at home, and you scored, and they scored, which they did, you could hear the roar. If you look it up on YouTube, it's fantastic. You can actually hear the fans at home shouting and exactly as they were before. It was brilliant. Hundreds and hundreds of these screens all the way along the side of the pitch.
Now, that actually is like something from Black Mirror or from a science fiction show. Yeah. But nevertheless, that's really clever. But how many screens? I mean, did they get a job lot at Argos, or how did they manage that?
No idea. I just thought that must cost you a fortune.
That must have, maybe they got a sponsorship or something. Yeah. But that is a very good way of the fans kind of seeing themselves in the stadium, but then creating a bit of atmosphere. Because you said, was it Dortmund last week played recordings over the tannoy, which Man United have been accused of doing in the past anyway.
Man United have always done it, haven't they? Yeah, because none of their fans know any songs. No. Yeah. So, I mean, they have to have the songs printed on left on the chairs, don't they?
But that is brilliant. So sort of Zoom meeting, a Zoom football game.
Yeah,
fantastic. I think that is very innovative and rather exciting. I think that's great because so the fans are basically sat watching their screens but being filmed doing it. Yeah,
yes,
fantastic. So that is Denmark and Germany. We are coming back, as we say, to football in England. How do you think it's going to affect the way people play? Because I think I mentioned to you that for Tottenham it's been quite good in a way, because now all those main injuries, Kane, Son, Bergwijn, Sissoko, have all come back from injury.
Yeah. No, that's very true, and big advantage to Tottenham. There are some others. There's is it a Newcastle player? It's to do with the squads, not just individual players, but it's something they have to decide this week. That the players who'd been injured and at the end of January, at the end of the last window, they were not in the first team squad. But now they're fit again. They will be in the first team squad. So the clubs have got to agree what's going to happen about first team squads. Are you backed? Will you? Must you be what you declared at the end of January, or can you come back? Newcastle's Paul Dummett is the example that's being used for this, because he's in exactly that situation. He damaged his hamstring on the 11th of January, was removed from the first team squad because he wasn't going to be back until the end of the season. Now he's fit again, so what's going to happen?
Is he allowed or isn't he?
Yeah, and Chelsea have put forward a proposal to say that we should increase the number of substitutes to 5 and increase the number of players on the bench to 9, because of the number of games you're going to be playing successively. Yeah, what the league are going to have to sort out this week with the ongoing fixture list is one of their guidelines is to ensure that no team put it this way, there is 48 hours between any two matches. You don't ever play, 24 hours after a previous match.
Right.
So it's going to be very compressed. They're going to be playing a lot of football in a short period of time. I must admit, I'm in the they're fit, they can get over it. But there is, they're worth a lot of money. These players, their assets worth a huge amount on their balance sheet.
Yeah,
they've got to look after them.
Yeah, I mean they're worth a lot of money, and they are finely tuned machines.
Yes.
But so they won't be playing 2 games in 48 hours.
That's what they're trying to achieve. It might be impossible to achieve it.
So that's what they're trying to achieve. They are saying that they're going to be playing every Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday to fit the games in, which is great for football fans like you and I who've missed out on watching football for 3 months. As you say, I mean, what do you think of that substitute thing? That's a complete change to the rules. I'm not sure, much as it might be a solution, I'm not sure you can actually do that logistically halfway through a season.
I'm not sure that logistics is the stumbling block. It depends whether the number of substitutes and the number of players on the bench it comes down from FIFA through UEFA to the Premier League, or whether it is a Premier League rule. I
suppose what I meant by logistically is getting around the rules some way, right? Not physically doing it, but rewriting the rules for 9 games and then unwriting them again, I suppose, and starting again next season.
Yeah, I think when you run through all the problems, I really do think what you should come back to is our suggestion last week. Let's have a 5-a-side tournament, one weekend, play every match 5-a-side and
get it over with. Yeah,
have winner stays on.
Winner stays on. Yeah, 3 and in. Yeah. One thing we've missed actually just occurred to me. It is June now. We would be coming up to the Euro tournament, the international, in which we've missed, or we are going to miss, England going out on penalties in the quarterfinals.
We wouldn't miss it at all. Yeah.
Also, we've probably not missed anything. I think I'd probably rather watch Tottenham, Manchester United than that.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're going to play that tournament next year, aren't they? Instead,
yeah, apparently,
so,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. Will they're going to stagger it from then on to sort of catch up with themselves, so that it's every even 4 years, or what? Because there's a World Cup as well, of course.
No, I think they'll just do it 3 years afterwards and keep it to the.
So go back to 2 years, but it'll be odd instead of even. All right. So we're talking about players coming back from injury. A lot of Tottenham players coming back from injury. There is a challenge. I mean, they're 9 points behind Leicester, I think, but there is a challenge for top 4 because Man City might not go to Europe next season. So finishing 5th is actually quite not a challenge, but it's achievable for Tottenham, but it's also a goal.
There's no point pinning your hopes on the Manchester City thing. I cannot see there's enough time to have that sorted out by the start of next season. So they'll be in it, and any punishment that will happen to them will happen afterwards.
Yeah, but just because physically they should have got it sorted by now. The appeal should have gone through probably by now. Right. So by the time the appeal goes through, the Champions League will have started again. So you can't be in it and not in it.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So we have to finish 4th. There's a lot of competition for that, of course. Manchester United, Ighalo.
Yeah, they've prolonged his loan, or maybe not, depending on who you talk to. It depends on which season we're in, or which year, or some sort of parallel season we're having at the moment. But yeah, they've decided to keep him. They like him. He likes being there. I think he's a very good squad player.
8 games, 4 goals. Not bad.
Well, it's the best he's ever done in the whole of his career. He's never done better. He's never done better than 1 in 4 anywhere he's been before.
That's amazing. I mean, has he got better service around him with that bunch of players?
Of course he has. Yeah, he's played for Manchester United. You should score more goals.
Yeah, you should really. Yeah.
It's a very small sample. It's 8 games. If you got to 20 games and he was still doing 50%, well, okay, yeah,
might be worth signing long term. Yeah.
But I think Manchester United can't afford to sign people at the moment. That's the problem they've got. They've got an awful lot of debt there. Glazers, who own them, also own the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that have just taken on 2 huge liabilities in America. They've taken Tom Brady from the New England Patriots. Brady's the best quarterback in history. They're going to pay him minimally, this is $30 million a year.
Wow.
Which, compared to the previous year for Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is like $30 million more. Because the previous guy was on a rookie contract, so they're paying him virtually nothing. So that's $30 million they've got to find from somewhere. Because Brady went to the Buccaneers, Gronkowski's come out of retirement, Gronkowski being the tight end that's played his whole career with Brady, they're paying him $15 million a year. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, by which we mean the Glazer family, are going to have to come up with $45 million more this next American football season than the last one, and that is going to impact on Manchester United.
But basically, Manchester United have got to pay for that by not signing.
Well, Manchester Manchester United have been funding the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for 25 years. So
True,
that's the reality. And you have to say, okay, well, where's the other side of that coin? Well, the other side of that coin is the debt that Manchester United have. Their 350 million is basically that. Manchester United as a business are cash positive and very profitable. They shouldn't have any debt at all.
Right.
So where's the money gone? It's gone to the Glazers shopping mall shopping mall business, which is terrible business in America. Has been losing money forever, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
You can lose money with shopping malls, even in.
Well, they've managed it.
Wow.
Well, I mean, you know what I was doing in Moscow. One of their representatives approached us for us to buy some of their actually strip malls, and we wouldn't.
No, right.
And we couldn't find anybody else who would.
Right. Okay. Before we move on, because we're sticking with Ighalo, because regarding transfers, there's a couple of transfer rumours I've read in the last couple of days that I want to run past you. Philippe Coutinho, he's done at Bayern Munich, isn't he? He was on loan there, but
he was on loan, yeah.
He was on loan. They're not going to keep him. They're not that impressed. He's had a terrible time there, really.
No, he hasn't. That's not fair. He hasn't had a terrible time. He's had a terrible time for a £140 million player.
Yeah, I suppose we should.
You would, if you're going to pay that money, it's like the argument against Pogba. If you're going to pay that money, this player must be a game changer. He must take you from losing to winning, or from drawing to winning.
Yes,
and Coutinho is a player that pops up a dozen times a season with something brilliant, but he never changes a game.
Right.
And that's the problem that Liverpool had with him, why they were happy to sell him. It's the problem that Bayern had, and the problem Barcelona had. He wasn't a game changer, and they want game changers.
Well, that's it. I mean, Barcelona, 140 million they paid Liverpool for him. They still rate him at 124 million pounds, by the way.
Well, it's rate for rate. Let's replace wish list. They want.
They want. Yes, they want. You can want all you like. So there are rumours that his agent came out this week because obviously he's realised Bayern Munich aren't going to buy him. Barcelona probably want to get rid of him, so the agents, as agents do, has started saying things about him in the press, and he said, "I think a return to the Premier League would be a good step for him now," meaning come and get me, doesn't it, really? I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, there was a rumour that, Tottenham should be in for him, but I mean, Tottenham don't have that money ever.
No. Well, nobody is going to pay that money for him. You can forget that. As a player, do Tottenham need him? No, they don't.
Not really, no. I don't. That's not where our weakness is.
No, Tottenham's got a very strong midfield, very creative midfield, very good midfield. They don't need him.
No. There's no way Tottenham would pay that money for anybody ever. This week in the paper there was an article about Daniel Levy, the chairman of Tottenham, instructing Jose Mourinho that if he wants to sign anybody on a free in the transfer market, he's got to sell some players. You've got to actually raise some capital by selling players to get somebody in for free. So there's no chance they're going to spend 124 million on somebody they don't need.
No, and 2 weeks ago, Mourinho was in the press preparing the ground for Tottenham supporters by saying that transfer prices are going to come down. Well, he got that from his mate George, who is the super agent. Yeah. But he's absolutely right, and you can see it with the lad from Inter who went to PSG on loan, Ighalo. The figure for buying him, which was part of the loan deal, was 70 million. They've just completed the deal at 54.
Right. So
that's where prices are going.
Mourinho's got that right. Just like rental prices here on the Costa del Sol are going to come down because needs must after this crisis we've been having. So that's Coutinho. Where would he fit in?
Oh, I don't know.
West Ham, your team? Would you have him?
No.
You rate West Ham's midfield, don't you? Anyway, currently
it's very talented midfield. You want game changers in there. You want a really good holding player, right? Who's going to look after you and protect the back four, and you need game changers, and he's not a game changer.
Another rumour that I read. I mean, you can read a rumour, but I mean, I could start one now, and if I say it then becomes a rumour, doesn't it? So the fact that I read it on the internet means nothing. But there is talk that Liverpool would very much, well, of course they would very much like to, but maybe in the running to sign Kylian Mbappe. No, right? Why not?
He's much too expensive, and what position does he play, and is he better than who they've got in our position at the moment?
I don't know if you've seen this app, this COVID-19 app, where you can you send in a list of people, if you are positive for COVID-19, you send a list in of people you've been in contact with so that they can be isolated. I sent in the Liverpool team sheet. That should have been Arsenal, shouldn't it? But killing Mbappe to the Premier League, though, any chance of that? Nobody, not too expensive for everybody, or just not?
Well, too expensive, and I can't see where he fits in. I can't see anywhere where he fits in. Talking about Liverpool, the rumours about the Timo Werner coming from Red Bull Leipzig to RB Leipzig to Liverpool, it looks like they're true, and it will cost 52 million, which is probably about half what they'd have got for him last season. Yeah.
So again, as you and Mourinho pointed out, I mean, sometimes, as I think it was Lenin said, war is the locomotive of history. This crisis kind of like levelled things out a little bit, and maybe prices are more realistic.
Well, maybe they will be. Yes, yeah. We'll have to see. I mean, certainly the clubs are going to take a big hit. They've already taken a big hit from loss of revenue from people coming into the grounds. But the talk this week is that the cost to them of the no TV is 330 million. So they're going to take a hit there too.
Yeah, so they're not going to be able to afford to pay premium prices.
Well, it's going to be very difficult. Arsenal, of course, their chairman Kroenke is building this mega stadium in Los Angeles, which is even more over budget than it was a few months ago. So that's going to tie the purse strings at Arsenal.
It is, yeah. All right, well, that's the Premier League, Geoff, and we can be excused, I suppose, for not feeling too sorry for them during this crisis in many ways. But there are teams, and we said on last week's show that 92 clubs is far too many for an FA like England, and a country the size of England. Yeah. 92 professional clubs, too many. But there are some in big trouble.
Well, yeah, I mean, we lost Bury last year, didn't we? And Macclesfield are in trouble. Macclesfield have already had 11 points deducted for two things. One, failing to pay their players, and second, for not completing a fixture. They should have played Crewe and didn't fulfil the fixture. So they've been deducted 11 points. There's still 3 points hanging over them from that, because 3 points were suspended. So if they do something else wrong, then they get whatever punishment they get for the next thing they do wrong. They also get 3 points deduction. And they have done something else wrong. They didn't pay their players in March. So the Football League have begun proceedings against them for that. So that will be another points deduction, which will almost certainly mean they'll be relegated out of the Football League.
Yeah,
and I mean, could they survive?
It kind of feels to me, twofold thing, really. It kind of feels to me, if you run a business badly, then you shouldn't be running that business, or you need to address it and do something about it.
Absolutely.
So, Britain is a capitalist country. That's the way the system operates. If you're not running a business profitably or correctly, and also ethically, by paying your players, then you shouldn't be in business. But on the other side of it, if you are struggling, then being punished, which makes it even more difficult for you to operate, doesn't seem to me like the right way to punish a club. So in order to survive, you've got to stay in the league. So we're going to take points off you so that you can't possibly stay in the league, and therefore will be in further trouble.
Yes.
It doesn't seem like a way of punishing the club in a way that they can be punished and take their punishment, but also get out of the problems they're in.
Can we go back to the first principles? Who are the Football League?
All right, yes.
They are the owners of the clubs. And in the case of Macclesfield, the 23 other clubs who will think that they have been punished because Macclesfield haven't been paying their players. So Macclesfield have had an unfair advantage. So
that I thought about it that way round, actually. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
The people I feel sorry for are the Macclesfield fans, and they have been real heroes in this. Not all through, but especially during the lockdown, because the players were on this furlough scheme where the club would only have to pay 20% of their wages. Do you know who paid the 20% of their wages?
You're going to tell me the fans?
The Supporters Trust paid that.
That is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, my question, which kind of develops what you were saying, is should they be punished?
Right. Yeah, because ultimately it's the fans. They're going to lose. They're going to lose their club.
Yes.
Or certainly, if they don't lose the club, they'll be playing non-league football.
Well, okay, but playing non-league football and winning might actually be... they might have more fun on a Saturday than they would otherwise have. But
still,
they are unquestionably being punished for something which is very demonstrably not their fault. But fans are brilliant, and I'll just refer you back to the comments I made about treating fans like violent hooligans. Fans have been fantastic. Crystal Palace exist because of their fans, because their fans went to London and protested and made a lot of noise. Now, the background to this is that Lloyds Bank owned the mortgage on the on the stadium, the ground.
Yeah, I don't think you can call it a stadium. I've been there.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks quite nice from the railway as you go past from on the train up from Brighton. But yeah, anyway. Lloyds Bank had one famous meeting back when Palace were in administration, and their decision was: do they pull the plug and sell the ground for developing a hypermarket, or do they stick and allow Palace to be rescued by Parish and the three guys who joined together with Parish? And the noise of the fans protesting outside could be heard in the boardroom. And at one point, the chairman complained about these hooligans making all this noise. And as he was saying that, he stopped and he thought out loud, hang on a second, there's thousands of Lloyds Bank fans out there. If we pull the plug on them, we lose all those those bank accounts.
All those customers, yeah.
And that's why Lloyds stuck with Crystal Palace.
No, that's in a way that's horrible because it's all about banks and everything, but it also shows fan power, doesn't it?
It shows fan power.
People power. If you protest, people sit up and take notice.
Yeah, well, and we learned that with Bury. I mean, the way that Bury supporters behaved and the things they did last season was absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, it really did show football, this is what football fans are, these people.
From Liverpool right down to Sutton United and beyond.
Yes, exactly.
Right through the leagues. People are people. A banal thing to say, but football fans are no different from anybody else. They do club together as a community. And football is a focal point of any community.
Yeah, but you said people are people is a banal thing to say. It isn't actually, because the banality comes from the thinking that, they're football fans, ergo they're hooligans and violent. They don't ever stop to think, well, actually, these are people. Yeah. And these are people who care about something.
And selfless. I mean, because Macclesfield is not Knightsbridge, is it? It's not Park Lane, it's a tough town to live in. And during the lockdown, I don't mean that in any offensive way, but it is a working class town in many ways in the north of England. And during the lockdown, people had other things to worry about, being able to work themselves, feeding their families, and all those things that people have had to do during the lockdown. But they still had the selfless thought to play the players in order to get the club through so they could continue existing. Yeah. Fantastic. Did they ask for any guarantee from the players, like, listen, I'm going to pay your wages, but you've got to stick around and play afterwards?
No, I think it all went through the Silkman Supporters Trust, so it was just, okay, here's the money, you pay them. This is how football started, though, wasn't it? It was works teams, like West Ham was the Thames Iron Workers on making the ships in the Thames. Blackburn,
a cotton mill, wasn't it?
Exactly,
or whatever.
Yeah. These were social things, and at a time when under the Victorians, where they thought it was a good thing.
Yeah. So well done to Macclesfield's supporters. Yeah. We feel your pain in many ways, and we hope that you get what you deserve out of that, and keep your team, and hopefully keep a bit of credibility as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's all about banks and it's all about money, but it's also about football is about people, and the people are the fans.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, well done to them. Well, Geoff, of course, it is now June, and the Premier League would have been over, and the 1st of June would have been the Champions League final. So we would have been at this point talking about our players of the season and who's done best, and who's been a flop and all those kind of things. Yeah. Just having a quick look, currently, as of March, which is when last time a ball was kicked, top scorer in the Premier League on 19 goals is Jamie Vardy for Leicester.
And that actually wasn't a whole season. He had a decent period out injured, didn't he?
Actually, yeah, I thought, yeah. Aubameyang is second on 17, and then Aguero on 16. Of course, I mean, you were surprised when I read this out earlier. 5th on that table is Danny Ings of Southampton with 15 goals.
I know, the Liverpool fans will be amazed, won't they? He couldn't kick his own backside when he played for them.
No, I mean, the funny thing is that relationship between Liverpool, Southampton are sort of Liverpool's training academy.
Right,
they just snatch players from there every year, but he's gone the other way and done quite well.
He's done quite well. Under Hasenhüttl, who's turned out to be a good manager, and he's just got himself a new contract.
Yes, yeah, he's signed up for another whatever amount of years, and you can't blame him for keeping hold of him. No. But there we are, Marcus Rashford in 6th. So, players of the season.
Kevin De Bruyne.
He's the one that sticks out for you for the...
absolutely. 16, he's created 16 goals so far this season.
That's incredible anyway.
The only other player that's in double figures for assists is Trent Alexander-Arnold. And that's quite amazing. He's a fullback, remember?
Yeah, but what's he doing creating goals? He should be just stopping them, yeah.
But De Bruyne on 16... and the record for the Premier League is held by Thierry Henry with 20 in the 2002-03 season.
So that's still possible.
So that's still possible, yeah. You know, we were talking earlier on about Coutinho. You know, Kevin De Bruyne is a game changer. He changes the game for you. He wins you a game that you were drawing. He gets you a draw from a defeat. He's the real deal. He doesn't score the fourth goal in a 5-0 rout, you know, which is the Coutinho thing.
I mean, that's the thing you mentioned when you said about Coutinho not being a game changer. That was something people levelled at Lukaku, who I think is an exceptional player, but it's the difference between scoring the third goal out of 4 or the first goal out of 1 that wins you the game in the last minute or something. And Lukaku, some people criticise him for scoring goals that didn't make a difference.
That's right.
You can't blame him for that. You know, I won't bother score because we've already got 5. But the thing is, he should have been scoring the ones that got him to that point, and maybe Coutinho is one of those.
I mean, in Ferguson, you know, one of his golden rules, which he would say very, very often, is you want your centre forward to score you the first goal in a match, because that's an important goal, and the winner.
And the winner.
Those are the important goals. Yeah. That's what you want your centre forward scoring, not goals 3, 4 and 5 in a 5-0.
Yes, I mean, they're pointless. Well, I mean, it's great for the fans, but that doesn't actually make him a valuable player for the team. You're not winning points. Whereas Kevin De Bruyne, of course, is the difference.
Yes, he is the difference. And if you stick up a chart with Manchester United and the matches played without him and the matches played with him, they get far more points when he's playing than when he doesn't. He's the difference.
He is. I mean, I'm looking at that chart now. Heung-min Son of Tottenham, he has got 7 assists in 21 games. But he's a good little player. Brilliant player. He's just come back. He won with South Korea, which meant he didn't have to do his national service, but he did.
Well, no, I think there was some. It was to do with the amount in the end.
Yeah.
The amount of and the type of it.
You got a discount or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you do national service light.
Yes. Well, he's just come back from that in South Korea, where there've been very few cases of COVID, and they've covered that very professionally and everything. He's just done 3 weeks there, which I would have been if I was his manager and chairman, terrified. Because I mean, you know, if he's crawling under tanks and through barbed wire.
Famous people like that don't. They work in the canteen or in the office.
Probably has doing stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Or watching people polish his boots.
Or taking PE classes or something.
Maybe he was doing a bit of football training or something.
Yeah.
But, you know, he did it. All credit to him. He probably didn't have to go and do it at this point. But off he went for 3 weeks. He said it was tough, but then he's not supposed to come back and go, that was easy, because Donald Trump will think, oh, is it now? They've got an easy army to get into. I'm over.
It is the other Korea, by the way.
Oh, it is. I don't think Donald Trump would know.
No, Donald Trump wouldn't.
That was probably the point. But so Son 7 assists, but Kevin De Bruyne 16 is phenomenal.
Yeah, he's a long way ahead. Yeah. And you know, when you get an outlier, somebody that is so far ahead of the rest, it says everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, he's way ahead of the rest.
You know, I think Vardy is just brilliant, and how he keeps going at his age and shows no sign of stopping.
I mean, he's not one of those glamorous players, is he? That's always in the news, or at least not like he's not a Beckham, is he? Let's say he's not a celebrity, but there he is. 19 goals so far. So far, there's still 9 games to go. You know, you could get another 2, 3, maybe. That's a good return for a season. Anything above 20 goals is what a striker should be getting. But there he is. You know, he's already retired from England duty, and he's still playing for Leicester. He never did make that big move that was expected after they won the league and all that.
Yeah, good for him.
I think great. Now there's a story that you could write actually.
Yeah,
you know, his rise from the lower leagues and all that.
Yeah.
And then he's stuck with Leicester, but top scorer in the league, Jamie Vardy. But then I was going to say it sounds odd, but they are like third in the league. So you know, he's playing for a good team after all.
And where did they finish last season? It was down
halfway down the table.
Halfway down the table, yeah.
Yeah, they keep doing that. They nearly got relegated one season, then won it the next.
Yeah.
I mean, but they haven't got the money to sustain it. I suppose that's maybe something to do with it.
I think so. I think the issue about the year that they won is who was actually responsible for that. Was Steve Walsh actually responsible for it? And the Italian was just there, and it all happened around him.
Yeah, he does.
It does look like that, doesn't it?
It does look like that, yes. And he certainly comes across as a sort of person that's nice to be around, but doesn't actually change the dynamics or anything. But he did do it, so we can't take that away from him. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's your player of the season, Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, De Bruyne. That's clear. Clearly, he's a game changer, and that's what you need. They're probably going to finish second in the league, probably with many thanks to him.
And just to inject a note of weirdness to this, I've always thought that the player of the season is probably actually one of the central defenders or goalkeeper for the team that went down bottom.
It was a thankless task.
Because they actually did much, much better.
All right, well, we're not at the end of the season, so we won't go through the whole thing. I mean, we can't say team of the season because it's got to be Liverpool, hasn't it, I suppose?
It's Liverpool,
but,
yeah.
You know,
There's no question.
Well, you can't say anything else. And manager of the season, I suppose,
It's
got to be Klopp. But there are other managers who've done beyond...
Other managers are available.
Other managers are available. There are managers that have done stuff beyond expectations.
Well, Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, as we said, not the budget of Liverpool, certainly. And consistently in the top four all season.
Is Brendan Rodgers actually as good as he thinks he is?
I don't think that's possible, but he's certainly quite close. All right, so listen, we're going to round it up now. We aren't going to have our player of the season and all that to any extent because there's still almost a third of the season to go.
It's a third of the season to go.
Or thereabouts. So, we are looking forward to the start on the 17th of June, all being well. With all the stuff that's going on in America, it'd be quite interesting to see how many of the young black players react when they score goals. Will they take a knee?
Well, I'm certainly hoping they will, and it's certainly in Germany and other places where they're playing that's been happening. Well, one thing which I was really pleased to see yesterday was Kimmich, the Bayern Munich midfield player, saying that he recommended that white players take a knee as well, and I think
absolutely
they should.
I agree. I think everybody needs to take a knee, literally or figuratively. And I think football players, as young men, and some of them, of course, particularly the black players, have been affected by racism throughout their lives, despite their privileged position. So I would like to see that. On a personal note, I agree with you. I would like to see all players taking a knee.
Yeah.
It sends out a powerful message.
Yeah, indeed.
But the powerful message is that football will be back very soon.
Very soon. Yeah.
And so will this football podcast, Hitting the Bar. Before we round up, Geoff, the question, your trivia question and its answer, please. Okay,
well, the question was, Alvin... On 21st of April 1986, Alvin Martin scored a hat-trick for West Ham against Newcastle.
Was that was that the last hat-trick West Ham ever got?
In all probability, yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Certainly none of our forwards have been any very good since. Yeah. That in itself, for a centre-back to score a hat-trick is reasonably, incredibly rare, if not unique. But the thing which makes it unique is that he scored that hat-trick, the 3 goals, against 3 different goalkeepers.
Right, so I can kind of see how that happened.
They were Martin Thomas, Chris Hedworth and Peter Beardsley.
Peter Beardsley, the outfield striking type player.
That one, which argues, I don't know the facts of it, but argues that Newcastle had a player sent off.
Switched it round.
Yeah, so they brought on a defender, put Peter Beardsley in goal. Yeah.
So they'd have had one goalkeeper was injured, substitute goalkeeper came on, then that goalkeeper got himself sent off. Yeah. And so they had no more. So they no more goalkeepers. Peter Beardsley, and I suppose Peter Beardsley being a striker. Then they're going to be defending now, aren't they? With 10 men, so they've got to might as well use him in goal.
Yeah, not the tallest goalkeeper.
No, not at that point. Actually, yeah, he's not the tallest of people, let alone goalkeepers. But Alvin Martin took full advantage and scored against each of those 3 goalkeepers.
He scored a hat-trick against 3 different goalkeepers
in one match. Brilliant! What a claim to fame. That is all we've got time for. That was Hitting the Bar, the football podcast. I'm Chris Karle.
And I'm Geoff Saunders.
Thank you very much for listening. We will be back next week with more Hitting the Bar, the football podcast.